Increasing your sales with Google Ads is not as difficult as it seems, and in this video I'm going to give you not one but 5 different ways to quickly and easily increase your sales with Google Ads and get more profits as a result. These are strategies which I've never really talked about before on my channel, so make sure to watch this video until the end. But with that, the first strategy, the first approach to increasing your sales massively is to split campaigns based on traffic type. Now, what do I mean by this exactly? There's a lot of different ways that you could be segregating out your products when it comes to shopping campaigns or just campaigns in general. You could do it by product segregation. You could do it by product collections, by product margins, or just about any other similarity that you can think of. However, one of the best ways I've seen consistently work time and time again to increase the sales of just about any brand out there is to target the actual traffic type, meaning retargeting versus cold traffic. And this is super important to do because if you don't know yet, Performance Max campaigns, 60 to 70% of the traffic that comes through them is retargeting traffic. So this can cause problems when you try to really scale that Performance Max campaign. This is because the retargeting audience has been depleted and it cannot show the ads more and more times to that same retargeting audience. And as a result, now that it's going after more cold traffic audiences, it's not facing the same level of results and scale as it once originally was facing. So to prevent these things from happening, the approach is fairly simple. You need to be having different campaign types like this brand does right here, where some of the campaigns go after only cold traffic and some of the other campaigns go after only retargeting. This is a perfect example right here because if you look at the different kinds of Performance Max campaigns which this brand has running at the moment, you'll see first of all there's a lot of different campaigns. However, the ones that are running, some of them are going after all products for cold traffic only, and then the others, they're going after all products but going after the retargeting audience only. And this is kind of a beautiful little separation of traffic type that happens on the campaign level, and it leads to completely different results. One could be doing extremely well, one could be just barely scraping by. But the main point here is the more you segregate out based on traffic type, the easier the time the algorithm has between creating some sort of a loop within your ad accounts. At the very top of this loop is the cold traffic audiences and the cold traffic that's coming in general to shop with your brand. At the very bottom of this loop is the retargeting audiences that you're targeting and just the retargeting traffic in general. And when you start running these two things together, that's when the circle is connected. And this is what creates something I call the Google Ads ecosystem, which is what basically every brand needs to truly scale to the very next level. This brings me to the next way to increase your sales rapidly, and this is by increasing the search volume. Now, a lot of e-commerce brands, what they've faced, and this brand right here is also facing that issue by the way, is that they start getting these messages where it says limited by search volume. And this, for a lot of brands, they think that this is the end of everything. They cannot scale any further, and that's basically the market cap getting hit. The reality is, if you know how to run things properly, the search volume should not really be an issue for a very, very long time. And even for this brand, if we look at 2 major metrics, we can understand from search impression share and click share that this brand has a lot of growth still that it could be achieving. But just because of the approach that it laid out right here in terms of what kind of keywords it's targeting, how it has laid out its product feed, the campaigns, that's the main reason why this brand is really not able to scale. It's not that the market has been saturated. If we look at search impression share, these ads that they have running in total, they're barely reaching 19% of the audience, and barely 19% of the audience is even looking at their ads. Out of this 19%, barely 15% is even interacting with their ads to begin with, barely clicking on it. So what this means is there's a lot of room to grow. They're reaching a very, very small portion of their entire audience. And all you have to do is just improve the product feed in terms of the keywords, improve the product titles, incorporate these newer and bigger keywords within the descriptions, and that should be enough to really get the algorithm going after a completely new set of audiences. And from there, that's when scale can be enabled. But very crucial to do that. Otherwise, if you target the same keywords as you're doing right now, it's going to be very difficult to scale. And this is something I see happen for a lot of the brands to handle on my agency or marketing as well, which, by the way, if you run a brand doing $1 million a year, you need extra help scaling your brand to the next level with Google Ads. Go onto my website at yourmarketing.com and schedule a free call with me, and let's see if we can potentially work together and make that happen. But this brings me to the third best way to increase sales fast with Google Ads, and that is by making the current ad spend you have going on more efficient. Now, this might sound very simple, it might sound a little bit woo-woo as well, but the reality is majority of the brands, they want to spend more money, they want to scale more, but what they don't realize is that what they're spending right now, it's actually getting wasted. The best way to improve things here is to make the ad spend more efficient. The first way to do that is by fixing up your content suitability settings. Now, I already covered this in the past video where I talked about 5 different hacks that you can use for Google Ads. I'm not really going to go over in detail into this, but just going under the setup column right here to content suitability, this alone is a hidden gem if you use performance max campaigns, even to a small extent, because what this section does is it makes your ad spend more efficient. It makes it so you're not just blindly throwing money in the air and hoping something works. That's the first part of making things efficient. Second part is making sure you don't have any types of Google Merchant Center product disapprovals or policy violations. These are like parasites within your ad accounts, because what this signals to the Google Ads algorithm is your brand is no longer following directions. Your brand no longer is catering to Google's needs, and as a result, Google starts to send you lower quality traffic for the same ad spend. It starts to send you these window shoppers, which are basically the lowest part of the pool, and that's when your results start to dip. So third thing, which really falls under this category of making your ad spend more efficient, is to completely eradicate the bad products from the good products campaigns. I can't tell you how many times I audit e-commerce brands where they have a performance max campaign running with the products in there that are basically losing them money, or products in there which are not profitable at a 1x ROAS, 1.5x ROAS, and they're running in the same campaign as the other products which are running at a 4x ROAS, a 6x ROAS. This does not make sense to me, because you're telling Google to go after these two different types of products, which one clearly is a winning product category and the other is not a winning product category. However, they're all jammed up together, and you're essentially just hoping and praying that Google focuses on the good ones versus the bad ones. That's not how Google works. It's going to lead to a lot of problems for the algorithm. It's going to confuse it and make it difficult for you to get long-term sustainable results. This brings me to the fourth way to increase your sales with Google Ads, and that is to introduce shopping campaigns. Now, shopping campaigns are something which most brands now want to just avoid for some reason. They would rather stick to performance max campaigns, and whenever we discuss shopping campaigns or standard shopping campaigns, they become a little bit jittery. And this is really kind of interesting to me, because standard shopping campaigns, if used correctly, can be a benefit to your performance max campaigns. It can actually work complementary with the performance max, and this account right here is the perfect example of this, where we just started working with it. It's already running at almost a 4x ROAS, which is a very big improvement from what it used to be at before, and you can clearly see the improvement right over here. But essentially, the standard shopping campaign has gotten the same level of sales as the performance max campaign, and that too at a very, very similar ROAS. But here's the interesting thing. The standard shopping campaign has got slightly more revenue and conversion value than this performance max campaign, and the average order value is slightly higher right over here. So these are both positive things that the standard shopping campaign is doing, and the beauty is the standard shopping campaign is like a complement to the performance max, because it's now getting a lot of newer audience data. It's targeting a different bid than what this performance max campaign is targeting, and as a result, it's getting a little bit higher quality traffic, which is why the AOV is higher. But what's going to happen is now this PMax will learn from the standard shopping, and it will also become smarter in that way via the standard shopping, which is absolutely crucial if we want to be scaling this brand to the very next level. In this situation right here, for the strategy behind this standard shopping campaign, we are running it on smart bidding, and the smart bidding target ROAS is 300%. That's essentially it. We're only targeting one specific country, which is Italy, for this brand, but basically all of the products are getting shown for this standard shopping campaign. The same products as what's inside the performance max. There's literally nothing new. The only difference is within the performance max campaign, we have added in a few more assets in to test asset groups versus the standard shopping approach. But both of them kind of face to face, just going at the same level of ROAS, same level of revenue, which is great essentially. That brings me to the final way to increase your sales with Google Ads, and that is adding assets to a performance max campaign. Now, this is one of the easiest ways to not only increase the audience size for your performance max campaigns, but also potentially start getting more results. I see so many e-commerce brands, what they do is they watch one of my videos or they see one of my posts on Twitter, and then they go in and just completely stop all of the assets within the performance max and only do feed only. And that's a great thing. However, not every brand is going to respond the same way to a feed only campaign. Some brands are just not going to do well when it comes to a feed only performance max campaign, which is basically going after the shopping placement only. So in this situation, what needs to happen is this campaign needs to be converted into an asset group based performance max campaign as well, or you need to test it side by side with the feed only approach. And these assets, what they do is they essentially make your brand eligible to go on different placements. It makes the performance max campaign a jack of all trades instead of a master of just one thing, which is feed only. And that's absolutely crucial. You need to be testing these things, and the easiest way is by just adding assets to increase your audience size, go after a bigger pool of audience, and as a result potentially increase the sales for your e-commerce brand. But again, if you run a brand doing $1 billion a year, you need extra help scaling your brand to the next level, go onto my website at yourmarketing.com and schedule a free call with me, and let's see if we can potentially work together and make that happen. But check out this video right here on a case study I did of a brand we blew up using some of these 5 different ways to multi 7 figures per year with Google alone.